Bonjour, welcome back on the Just French It channel. Je suis Marie, I am a French native teacher, as you can hear, and I'm the founder of Just French It, the channel on which you are today, but also the website justfrenchit.com, where you can find a lot of information about how to learn French. Okay, that being said, today, together, we're going to talk about French sentence structures, because that can be a big problem for French learners. If you're here today watching this video, it's because it's probably a problem for you as well, and for good reasons, really. Look at these sentences. They vary a lot, right? They are very different from one another. Let me just read them to you so that you understand this even better. Je suis toujours la dernière. Paris, c'est la capitale de la France. Est-ce que tu viens chez Camille ce soir? Émile n'est pas content parce qu'il n'a toujours pas reçu son permis. T'as pensé à acheter la bouteille pour l'anniversaire de papa? Arrête! They vary in length, right? Some of them are very short, some are very long. They vary in tone as well. The way I read them is different. And most importantly, they vary in the order of the words, right? We don't always have the same order of words. And that's a problem, because then how do you make sense of sentences if it's never the right order? And how do you build one yourself as well? It's a problem, it's an issue that you need to solve, because sentences are what you use to convey meaning, right? They are what you use to speak French. If not using sentences, you're stuck at trying to convey some sort of very basic information with just words. And that's not working. That's basically just baby French. You don't want to speak baby French, right? You want to speak full French. So today, we're going to talk about what makes a sentence in French. What are the different parts of a sentence? And I'm going to show you a way to think about sentences so that you can make sense of them, and so that you can start to understand how to form sentences yourself too. Now, today's lessons could be basically resumed in one sentence. Words are placed in functions, which are ordered in propositions, whose different combinations form sentences. Let me repeat this because it's crucial. If you want to write this down now. Words are placed in functions, which are ordered in propositions whose different combinations form sentences. 4 keywords here: words, functions, propositions, and sentences, right? The more you understand those different words, the more you're going to understand sentence structures, basically. The more you understand those keywords, the more you understand how they relate to each other, how they work together, the more you understand French, basically. So let's take a look at the different keywords. First, you have the keyword word. Now, word, you know what it is, right? I'm not going to go into too much details about this, but words are basically images. There are different types of images, right? Depending on the nature of the word, it can be an adjective, it can be a noun, it can be a verb, etc. But if you look at a sentence, you can look at it in terms of words. You can look at all the different words and you can actually extract the meaning from them. For example, in our sentence here, we have the first word, which is the first image. Okay, I'm talking about I. Je is I in English. Then there is suis, je suis, I am. Then toujours, which means always, I am always. And so on until we have the meaning, which is I'm always the last one, right? The problem that if you do that with all sentences is that it works with very simple sentences like that. But when you have longer sentences, you're basically getting a load of images and it doesn't necessarily form a very understandable picture, right? So you need to understand not only the images inside a sentence, so all the different words, but you also need to understand how they relate to each other. And understand how words relate to each other is also going to help you if there is a word that you don't know. So, to understand how they relate to each other, you need to understand functions. Let me just zoom at it, yes, perfect, okay. So, what is a function? A function is a group of words that have a role within a sentence. a function or identifying different functions is going to help you make sense of who does what in a sentence, basically. How are those different words related to each other? What picture do they form? Take the second sentence, for example. We can start to look at all the different words, okay? But then it makes more sense if we ask ourselves this question. Okay, Paris, what does Paris do? Paris is, okay, but what is Paris? Paris is la capitale de la France. Paris is the capital of France, right? It's a very simple sentence. Now, inside the sentence, you're gonna find different functions. A few functions are, for example, the sujet, le verbe, le complément, l'apostrophe, and la position. Okay? Those different functions, they form different groups of words, right? And they are put together inside the sentence. But the order at which they are put, right? Do we put the subject first or the verb first? Then what function do we put? Is going to depend on the proposition. What is the proposition? Now, a proposition is like a mini sentence, and there are different kinds of propositions, each with their own specific function order, meaning that function order depends if you want to say a question, if you want to state a fact, if you want to give an order. Now, in this example, for example, we are asking an informal question, so we are using a specific function order, which is here est-ce que, so the first three words, then the subject, then the verb, then the complément. Est-ce que tu viens chez Camille ce soir? Okay? Now, there are different kinds of propositions, declarative, interrogative, imperative, nominal, and each of those different kinds have different ways to put function order together. I'm not going too much into details about that right now, but stay tuned. I have a solution for you if you don't know all those different propositions. Now, once you have those propositions, you can combine them together, right? Sometimes you can start a question, you can start with a declaration and ask a question in the middle of your declaration, right? In this instance, that's when sentences are born, really. The different combinations of those propositions form sentences. You can combine only one proposition, like in the sentences that we saw here. Est-ce que tu viens chez Camille ce soir? There is only one proposition, and it's a sentence, right? Or you can combine several of them, like in these two examples here, when there are two propositions together. Émile n'est pas content. First propositions, parce qu'il n'a toujours pas reçu son permis. Second proposition. It's like there is two mini sentences together, and they are linked together by a word, a linking word. Now, the linking word that you need to use depends on the relationship between the two propositions. Do you want to oppose the two propositions? Do you want to put them together? Do you want to explain something? Do you want to give a reason, etc., etc.? And you're going to need a different kind of linking word depending on how you're going to link your propositions together. And that's it. That's what sentences in French are, right? They are words that are placed together in functions, which are ordered in propositions who form sentences, okay? It's as simple as this. And the more words, the more types of words that you know, the more types of propositions, the more types of functions, the better your understanding of French sentences, really. Even if there is a word that you don't know, even if there is something that you don't understand, if you understand how those things relate to each other, you can understand the sentence, right? Or at least part of the sentence. Now, because the more you know, the better your understanding, what I did for you is that I created a guide. I wrote a whole guide about sentence structure, about French sentence structure. Now, in this guide, you're going to find all the different kinds of words, all the different kinds of functions, the different kinds of propositions and sentences that you can find in French. So you can obviously understand sentences and you can build sentences yourself as well. But not only, because in this guide, we're going to work directly with French sentences. I'm going to give you plenty of examples. I'm going to give you practical exercises to do as well. we're just really gonna put our hands in French, if you will. We're gonna look at the mechanics of French. So if you are serious about learning French, if you struggle with sentence structure at the moment, this is the guide for you. The link for this guide is in the description below this video, and you can get it with a 10% discount until the 17th of October 2020. If you have questions about the guide, or if you have questions about this video, you can leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next week on Just French It. Bye bye. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give a thumb up and subscribe. And if you are learning French, there is a bunch of links for you in the description down below as well.